It's their map, I think. I feel like this is the place where you see the most incredible stuff from them, and perhaps it can start on the pistol.
Yeah, Neo snacks the grenade men for VirtusPro, a team who use more utility in their pistols than most. Freiburg has the traditional smoke and a flash. We've seen high explosive and diffuse kit. Sorry, smoke and a diffuse kit. Ooh, get right. Finds a lot of information for his team. And Forrest has a few seconds to try and abuse. Oh, Forrest, please! He can't get a third one. Barley's got to go back and get the bomb. He's picked it up. And he's making a play for A. Snacks in the middle of the site. Again, if the NiP can reposition towards Ivy, they can stop the bomb from going down. Freiburg is not far from that position. And Bayali is on his own. Versus 3 players. He's got 2 kills so far. He requires an ace. Exist peeking first. The USP won't have the penetration to take out Exist behind that wall. He spots some bullets hitting the wall behind him, does Bayali, and that's Draken. Got himself a 1 versus 1, but it will be won by the Swedish side for the pistol round. On their CT side, a great start for NiP.
Oh, I see a Dota reference there. The knife name of, what is it, Draken maybe? Sanj. Yeah.
What is that? What is the meaning of this?
It's so basically there's this item called Sanj and Yasha. You combine, you build 2 swords, and then they become Sanj and Yasha. And so, and I can't remember what the color of it is. It's been a while since I played, but yeah.
My M9 is called Excalibur.
I'm sure Yankee would have picked up on that one. He'll appreciate that. We'll see though if the Scout can be good for Pasha. I'm really curious about that because the Scout is so fun. It's such a high skill weapon, and on a map like Train, you can do ridiculous things with it. There's so much cover to play off of, and so many quick angles to take all over the place that we could see some cool stuff with an explosive player such as Pasha looking for the first peak. Not going to find anything just yet, though. No one giving themselves up. Or maybe they will. That's a tag for Pasha. He'll take that. He sees the blood, too. So that's a sign for Bialy. He knows. 1 shot with the Deagle, and Freiburg's dead. Freiburg has to be careful. He's still staying out there, though. And we'll see whether or not VirtusPro decide to actually push that position. They have a great ability to challenge into the outside bomb site soon. Players all in position. And I like how they've kept Neo towards Ena just because they want to make sure there's no flanks going on from NiP. Nothing untoward, but there's Get Right. Not much you can do about that. Just sitting there with the Mag 7, perfect weapon for the job. And that's going to be all the frags coming in for NiP now. And unfortunately for VP, they can't get much going just yet, though. Pasha's still doing some damage with the Scout, trying to get the... I think he got a connection there on Draken with the no-scope there on that Scout. And now Snacks, he's got an opportunity. He's got 25 seconds, however, and not really a weapon to play with at long range. You never know with the Tech 9, though. Look at the damage on that. That is fantastic. Can still make this work all of a sudden. Wrapping around the train. Oh, and Draken finds a very important angle. Should Snacks have made his way around the train, the bomb becomes available, a frag becomes available, and you never know. But yeah, indeed it was Draken. He's got the Sanj. I wonder what he's got another knife called Yasha. That would be pretty cool. Unfortunately, you can't equip 2 knives at once. That would be pretty sick. If you could dual wield knives, please, Valve. Dual wielding knives. Put that in the game. Well, I guess we have the shadow daggers, don't we? So I guess you kind of have that. Well, that idea is ruined. Anyway, we have VirtusPro on the full save, and they'll be up against a very buy here with SMG's MP9s. Draken looking for the frags. Oh, there is a lot of players there. Only giving away. Oh, what on earth was that? Someone just took a chunk out of Forrest. Although, Forrest will be fine. He will be fine. Everything will be fine. I'm sure that was a little bit surprising, however. Not often you see that. Someone just running up the ladder, or rather climbing up the ladder, getting a slash in. Bit of disrespect. 3-0. And NiP looking quite comfortable, but the buy comes in for VP. Now, it's always quite interesting to see what the T side does in their first big buy. I don't believe that they've seen an AWP yet, but they could logically assume that that would be the case for NiP. And if that is the case, you've got 2 call options. You can try. Oh, hang on, hold that thought. We've got Get Right going for a very fast pop flash play with his teammates there, and that's going to be a quick frag with the MP9. That's the AWP down on the ground. Oh, sorry, the 2 AKs down on the ground. There was no AWP for VP. That's a really big deal. This is exactly how you want to handle this in many cases, especially if you fear a set piece execution. Now VP have to just force a play. They have to just go for it. See, Snacks is able to protect the flank, protect the bomb, and he's going to be able to pick that up and potentially go into the outer site here because there's so much attention to the inner bomb site. All the rotations are coming in. What will he decide to do? In fact, the fragging is going very well for VirtusPro here. They've got the B bomb site. The bomb can very well make its way to A as well. It's a bit of a risk. They know they have the B site, but now they have time, actually, a minute to play with. They don't have to make the call just yet, but it looks like they will indeed go for that play. Neo, slightly slow to react there, but will take the frag onto Freiburg. That said, as I say, slightly slow to react. You never know, like the smokes bloom client side, so you never quite know exactly what the perspective is of the person you're spectating. So maybe it was not slow reactions at all. Maybe it was quite quick. We'll have Drac in there trying to save the orb. And this has been a good round for VP. If you consider that it started off with aggression, which is exactly, I think, if you can make it work, if you have a good play for it. We saw a double pop flash. I think Get Right flashed himself in as well as a teammate with a pop flash at the same time to really make sure that even if there was a turn away, there was a second flash to catch them as they turned back to get the frag with the MP9. That was fantastic. A really good start for NiP. And we can see VP were forced to just go for it on the B bomb site. It was a desperation play. They hit their shots and made it work. And they did try to hunt down Draken there, which did cost them 2 players. So that's a really good situation for NiP as well. Obviously, that puts VP in a situation. Actually, by the way, that's an interesting point because then you do wonder what is the risk versus reward of hunting if you have 3 players. The other team still has the money to buy in the next round. So now what's happened is VP have put themselves in a position where should they lose this round, they get reset, they can't buy. Had they kept the 3 weapons alive, they could actually put together a very good buy or very respectable buy in the following round. And already losing a player to Draken, that was a player that James described as a potential swing player. Oh my god, what on earth was that from Neo? Fair enough. That's a good way to equalize things. But in the meantime, Get Right getting very aggressive. In fact, going up the ladder there. Only the fact that he got tagged by the nade and gave his position away did he back away. Otherwise, he might just continue there. But it's all worked out wonderfully for Forest and Get Right. They pick up all the frags, and Bialy's the last man standing. They have no idea where he is, I don't think. But he's only got a Galil, and he's against 3 players, and the off angle is there for Exist. Very good positioning there, and that's going to be the round. NiP reset VP. Now just imagine if they'd saved those 3 guns, you'd see 3 players with around $3 to $4K here, and they could get a pretty respectable force buy indeed. So again, something to consider when you're hunting players. Not always the best. Got to pick the right rounds to do that.
Draken picking up the MP9 for some shenanigans.
Smokes.
5 smokes for VirtusPro. They are investing in a bomb plant and some post-plant damage with these P250s. So will it be a fake towards the A site, or will it be an A play? The bomb is outside B at present, but the bomb carrier is the only player towards B. For now. Could go back towards Pop Dog. Draken preparing for a B push. Trying to avoid some flashbangs as well. VirtusPro, there we go. 4 smokes into the A site, but where will the bomb go? There's a Molotov to stop Bialy from pushing main, but it seems the focus is on the B bomb site. And indeed, they're pulling rotation from B, so it's going to make it easier for them to try and get the bomb down. Eddie Draken is close to the MP9, spraying down Taz, but the bomb carrier is still there. Neo creeping through the smoke's not going to work out. There are still these P250s in play, and they are still dangerous. There's 1 kill. Pasha repositioning. There's a flank coming in as well from Bialy to try and get some extra damage in. Again, it's not necessarily about defending the bomb at this point, but just trying to kill as many as possible. Pasha also rotating, but I'm not sure what he's aiming for. Maybe just not wanting to give up some bonus money to the opponents. With the MP9 on the prowl. 5-1 for NiP. And the money's still not fantastic for VirtusPro despite that bomb plant, but it is enough to allow them to buy.
It is indeed, and that's it's a big difference. That extra $800, that is the utility that you see basically in that $800, more or less. So there's options for VP in that sense, and it'd be curious to see how much pressure we see in the future from them on the Ivy side, just due to the effect that has on CT rotations and there's picking opportunities as well for either team. It can be quite difficult for the CTs to handle it. and it can often pull players away from the T, or rather the close positions on Pop Dog. And there's the classic flash and then push. Some teams actually have the AWP hide, and Dave's pointed out this a few times. They actually have the AWP hide, wait for the pop flash, and then use that sound cue to then peek. That's how the metagame has developed. There you can see the more classic situation. Jumping across, there is VP across the alley, making their presence known. 2 players spotted. And this is interesting information for NiP. With the middle left, that does tell NiP that a split onto the outer bomb site is much more likely than a B play. See, the CT rotation is much tighter to the bomb train as well, 4 players as well. So not really expecting the B play. So VP have done well to trick NiP and to fool around with their rotations to have a more successful round on B here.
Look how close Pasha is to all the CTs on the A side. They're spotting the numbers towards B, so they'll continue to withdraw from A, and indeed Pasha is on the flank, and he could be an important one, but Freiberg's looking for it, and he will find it. That is a great frag for NiP as they look to take the B bomb site, but the T's have already pushed through all the way to the back. That said, the kills are going in favor of the CT side. Barley with 2 HP and no grenades may be committed to dying to the cause at this point, and the Molotov won't even allow him to do that. It could spread and kill him by surprise. Got to be really careful with those mollies.
And of course, VP will lose the round, but I have to say that this was an absolutely phenomenally well played round by VP. If you just ignore the fact that they missed their shots towards the end, and NiP hit their shots, the way that VP set it up, they had NiP completely fooled to the extent in which when they attack the B bomb site, the typical problem is that you have a player playing in the middle of the yard, playing passively for a retake in that scenario very often. But because of how they showed numbers towards Ali and how they pressured it previously, NiP was so convinced it was going to be A, they didn't have, the only player towards B was in connector, which when you push into B, allows you to push the yard very quickly, and suddenly NiP should be stuck in the choke points. And that's the ideal situation for a B round to win the round. So I feel like VP played very well in that round with the strategy, but yeah, you got to hit the shots as well to back it up, and didn't happen that time around.
Draken with a very forward position, which more or less allows 4 players to be on A. Staying close to connector in case the rotation is required. Get right through the smoke. Will give a rifle up to the T side, and Pasha's going to charge through and do as much damage as possible, but he's lost in the smoke, and Freiberg will take him out. Pistols remain for VirtusPro.
Exists there in a high position. You love it. If you're in his spot, it feels so good to just rain the bullets down, and that's what he'll continue to do. But the bomb has actually been planted indeed, so that is a great situation here for VP. They were really invested in that, and they've already have a couple kills to go along with that, so I think they're fairly happy with this one. It's a nice frag from Snacks. Almost a second possible there. Piali could still pick it up with the Tech 9 as he wraps around the train here. That Tech 9, I never know what's going to happen when someone's wielding a Tech 9 in a situation like this. And the bomb will be defused in time. Great round from VP. They actually almost got 4 kills there, as well as the bomb plant.
Yeah, but it's NiP with 7 rounds to the 1 of VirtusPro. They need more than bomb plants, much more than that, in order to mount a defense on their CT side. The CT sides have been the story of these 2 teams in these matches so far, and it continues so on train 7-1. Pasha will be the one AWPing on this round for VirtusPro. Draken, of course, for the NiP side. We did see Forest in some rounds on a previous map of the AWP, but of course, Draken, for the most part, will be doing the business with that. Forest is in a position where he could throw a flash for Freiberg, but Freiberg's just going to hold the angle. The grenade will come too late to trade. Barley is heavily damaged. But again, Pasha is here as well. I don't know if he was spotted, but he's in position. But not for long, however. Forest deciding to take control of things. Snacks falling to the flames. And again, Barley's still tagged, so this is not a good situation for VirtusPro.
No, it's not, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can salvage this somehow. They've been able to do so in some previous rounds, but this one looks a bit more tough. That's a good open for Taz, taking the connector player down. But still, Forest, I think, is a really big problem here, because he's the guy that stops that plant towards Ali. And planting towards connector obviously can be stopped by likes of Exist. Draken coming in for the flank. So with all that said, it's looking great for NiP. Just have to connect some of these bullets. And it looks like Forrest is going to push his way all the way up, and he needs to. He's going to take control of the situation with Draken down, although he will not be able to. Bialy on point. But where is Exist? That's the big question mark. And 40 seconds remain, so plenty of time, but Exist lands the shots for the 3K. 8-1 for NiP, having a great time on the CT side here.
VP will probably buy in this round. Be madness not to, if only Pasha's short of money at the moment. So we'll see what Pasha chooses to do. UMP? Or just Tech-9 and grenades? Alrighty then. Let's go for it. Maybe he can pick up a rifle from one of his teammates later on. So it seems he's going to be running interference towards the IV position. He can't really do more than that unless the CTs go for a push, or he tries to make a play through a smoke. But he will keep people entertained. And there's a huddle for VirtusPro players around the B bomb site. So again, it seems Pasha may be in a flanking position in the latter parts of the round. For now, just holding angles around these corners and not committing too far. Again, he may want to show some presence here. He'll have to be careful though. That could be a perfectly timed grenade. Good damage, all things considered.
So it slows down quite a lot here for both teams. VP mixing things up slightly if they decide to just go for the straight B play. And Pasha's making loads of noise right now. You can hear him just rattling away behind the smoke on alley with the Tech-9. But NiP this time, you can see the positioning's much better on the B side. Okay, last time they won the round anyway, but here they have two players playing passively in the middle of the yard. This will make things really difficult. You can see the difference here. Able to stop them before they even get through the choke points. Great spray down coming in from Get Right, as only Bialy remains with the bomb to be planted. And he might be able to do that, but he's so concerned with these players being close. Tries to go for the transfer. Oh my god, that's excellent stuff there from Bialy with that transfer. It's hard. Words are hard, James. But I think his time on this round is limited, as Freiburg goes in for the peek and need the flank to worry about as well. And that's a 9-1 scoreline, so very nice work coming in from NiP to defend that. And it really shows you the power of if you don't mess up the CT rotation and you just allow them to play with that setup.
It's so interesting, the current performance from NiP in these matches. And again, I think stylistically, VirtusPro are a good opponent for them, considering the struggles they've had with other opponents of late. I don't know if things have been changed since their recent losses in the minor qualifier and so on, but I think NiP versus VirtusPro is always going to be good. That's an interesting start to this round as NiP head to double figures. Snack spotted as well. So this round looks to be brief.
I think that was a Molotov to the left of where Snacks is, and a flash. That'd be my guess.
Look at the name of his gun.
Oh, I missed that. Yeah, it's NiP are playing quite confidently now as well. And there was a position, I'm not sure exactly where to call it. It's like the angle in front of the generator, the corner in front of the generator. If you're the CT, and your CT side of the generator, if you go to the other side, the T side of the generator, that corner, Freiburg was taking that position earlier with an M4, and he lost the engagement against an AWPer, but it's kind of a cool off angle because the geometry advantage is only very slight for the T, and I was expecting a pop flash, but there was none, and I think that's just a level of confidence that we're seeing from NiP at the moment, which is really cool. They're just everything's going well for them. They're reading the game pretty well, and NiP, or rather, sorry, VP having a hard time. Wow.
Indeed they are, but can the numbers game work for them? 3 players moving up IV. They have a smoke grenade which Forrest will flash through and he gets them, but can he find the kills? Just one, so that's an AK to be collected by the T side. Taz will promptly collect that. Get Right's in a strong position on the A site as well, and I don't know that he's been detected. He may come into play later on once that smoke dissipates. Perhaps VP will want to head in that direction, and there's almost a crossfire. Get Right taking down Taz, that's given his position away. Freiburg gets a trade if necessary. Not Freiburg, but Exist, I think.
I like that Get Right took the position that Forrest had there. So Forrest like pop flashes through the smoke that was thrown right side of alley, and then it's supposed to cover the T's into the back lines. And then as Forrest gets one for one, Get Right takes his position again. And that's good enough to get an element surprise as the T's finally are looking towards that direction. Smoke's gone. There's Get Right. So pretty nice play from him.
Draken with forward position again, and Neo knows to respect what could be behind that smoke. Well-placed Molotov will force Draken away for a while, but Draken being Draken, aggression will continue. The reload will give the position away slightly for Neo. He knows he's tagged in, he's looking for the follow-up, but he's not going to overextend. He's not going to be too greedy for the kill. Backing off, not wanting to take too many risks and put his team at a potential disadvantage if he's unable to find that last bullet. Get Right creeping through the smoke again, but Bali knows what's up by now. Can VirtusPro close out their second round?
It's looking like they have a good chance to, because NiP are reading this to be A. They're rotating to the back lines of A, and the bomb's being planted on B. So you don't like their chances. They're just way too out of position here. And at the moment, the distraction that's being run by Pasha is enormous. And this is sort of basically a safe position. I'm not sure how much money NiP have. They must have quite a lot of cash. We'll see in a moment. But yeah, it's very difficult here. Okay, so it's not perfect. So, and there's not too many rounds left. But yeah, it's not perfect. So they would like to save, I think, a gun here. Like an AWP is always valuable to save. There's no chance that it can be you can retake the map. So
yeah, Draken can drop 2 rifles if he saves here. That would be marvelous for Forest and Freiburg on the 3K region. That would allow grenades and such. So it would allow a strong buy from NiP, but you see Pasha is creeping. Draken will remove himself from the angle. So the drops will indeed come. 2 rounds for VirtusPro, potential for 4. Which would not be a very good start to their CT side. And that's the best they can do at this point.
And that off angle where he saves right there, that was the spot I was talking about from Freiburg before. But yeah, it's a great spot for NiP to be in. We'll see if they'll get a good start to this round. Draken's been pretty on point on these initial kills, and they go fairly aggressive towards the front here, perhaps expecting this aggression. It's a nice position from Draken. You can see it's good for one. Spots the bomb as well, and now they know what's up. And they staggered the push. At the moment, VP can't get through Ali quickly enough. They can't get through Popdog quickly enough. They're not really able to coordinate here. This is an absolutely perfect defense from NiP.
Great 2-man spray down from Freiburg with help from a flashbang, leaving Neo alone. The grenades will tell NiP where he is. And again, even if it's a question of damage at this point for Neo, the money's not perfect for his own team. The flashbang won't be enough. Exist will save the day from Popdog. 12-2, a score I don't think anybody saw coming.
Yeah, that CT side so dominant. And again, I think my favorite round for VP is still the round that they lost, where they successfully faked NiP out and their rotation out. And I love that they added that detail, but I mean, perhaps they need more of that to get more rounds here. That said, ultimately, NiP have been playing like great Counter-Strike on the defense here, and today has been a day of CT sides, as Janko was suggesting, and we see it continue. The trend continued here, as NiP look to be in a great position to claim the last round of the first half for that 13-2, which would be stunning. Speaking of stunning, Draken looking for a stunning shot. Not going to be able to hit it though, not even a tag. He'll fall back in a way. I like that. I like that he's falling away from that position.
Quick escape as well, without taking damage. Those of you to note at home, sliding off the wood. Watch out for splinters. 1 minute on the clock for VirtusPro, and NiP still have a lot of their utility left. You can see the smoke grenades from NiP, and in case there's a push through the smoke, the Molotov is there as well. So they are going to try to ruin the timing of VP and what VP want to do. Draken over towards B has the last smoke on the CT side now, and the counter flashes continue. The counter flashes have been very effective for the CTs in this half so far. The wide peak from Taz won't be enough. The second peak is late from Bayali, and Freiburg will take both. Finally traded by Snacks, but all the advantages are with NiP. Pasha picked off, the bomb dropped on the floor. Forest spot on the high ground. Neo will take him down. And now it's Snacks alone versus 3 to try and get a desperate third round for VirtusPro, but there's a double peak from NiP. Nice lineup from the Swedes for a 13-2 half on Train.
Boom. Yeah, absolutely. It's looking great for NiP. it's going to be a quick one if they win the pistol round. One would only imagine, except if, you know, there's a force by victory from VirtusPro, which there can always be. They are scoundrels when it comes to those force buys, as are many of these top-level teams, and as to what they can accomplish on those force buys. We've got NiP in a situation now where I would expect them to get some utility, maybe try to at least guarantee a bomb plant, because at the very least, just keep the pressure up. And there is a Molotov and a smoke on Exist. Everybody else has Kevlar. And there's no kit on VP. No kit, no smoke, which is very important, I think, generally speaking. And the first battle will be lost. That's not a good start for the Poles.
No, Taz getting instantly headshot and then followed up by Draken. Neo getting one of his own. But again, he'll be the recipient. And that just shows how bad the headshot range is for Glocks, down to 3 HP even from that range. But finished off by Get Right. Again, the CTs continue to trade. Again, you got the headshots coming in from the Glocks and then the follow-up. And now Forrest has picked up a USP, so life only gets worse with VirtusPro in this round. Bayali finally landing the headshot on Draken. 1 versus 2. This is entirely doable for Bayali. Entirely doable. We'll see what the players from NiP Exist as this man with the Molotov, but he's on the low ground. Forrest on the high. So we'll see how NiP can try to combine their forces. That's pretty much a waste of a Molotov. It just gives Exist less places to hide, so I don't know why he's done that. And now it's the 1 versus 1. Forrest has the angle, and now he can just try to buy time. Running back, he'll get the kill. And that's so fortunate, because I don't know what on earth Exist was doing with the Molotov. he threw it where he was hiding, and it's like, oh my god, I can't stand there anymore.
I don't know, what do you say about that, to be honest? Well, it's the pistol victory there for NiP, so unless something untoward, unbecoming happens, they will be good to go in the into 15 rounds, into match point. We have 2 HEs, 2 smokes from VP, just going for the force buy. And it is very tough to deal with these on train, but that's the solution. Draken tapping away with an AK. That's good for 2 kills, it would seem, before he goes down. And they have to be careful here. I can definitely see levels of complacency creep in situations like this, but you must be careful when you go into the A site against a force buy. It can be so difficult and chaotic with pistols shoulder peeking from very many different angles, and it's very hard to trade them without going very deep. And as soon as you go deep into those positions to trade them, then all of a sudden you're open to about 3 other positions. And that's why it gets so sketchy. So that's why many teams take their anti-force buys to straight to the B-bomb site, because you can, with a few Molotovs, get rid of all the initial problems, get the bomb down, and then with the bomb down, the CTs are pressured to come to you. And that's where things get very easy.
This is a dangerous approach to A for NiP. 5-7s, CZs, Deagles, close range. And they don't know where they are. It's a guessing game. That's a great shot from Get Right, and a much needed one. That's a Deagle taken out of play, but I'm most scared about the 5-7, although you should always fear Taz with a CZ. He has got quite some highlights with that weapon in Counter-Strike. Exists on the flank. Freiburg does a double peek. That's enough for NiP. They've avoided disaster, and they make their way to match point 15 to the 2.
Yep.
2 rounds of VirtusPro.
It's a pretty big scoreline, isn't it? And again, I think to some extent NiP got a bit carried away there, because Draken was like, I mean, we know Draken to be an explosive player. He's going to go for those shots. He actually gets 2 kills, and I think NiP felt committed to try to follow up as a team into that bomb site when they didn't have to necessarily. But it still works out with 2 players surviving, so, and they win the round. So now match point, and VP have a very hard fight ahead of themselves, and it's going to be pretty, I mean, it should be easy enough for NiP to close this down. They've got so many rounds to work with. So looks like they'll just go out onto the A site, looking to try to get the AKs into position. This will work out quite well, because VP actually anticipated a B play, meaning that there's a lot of free space to position those AKs on the yard.
Great Molotov play to force the CT into an unfavorable situation, but the Deagles are coming in from Snacks and Neo. They're doing damage, but how much more can they do? Now it's Neo with 9 HP to do what he can, but he won't be able to